Good morning, all. I hope you've had a good morning thus far. I had my son's IEP meeting. It went well. Out of all the experiences we've had in reference to schools here in my local community, I have to say the Okaloosa Online has been bar none the best. And we have been a part of many schools in this area. And unfortunately, given the timeline of life and arrangements and moving and all of this stuff, my son has went to multiple schools in this local area. And in many ways, he fell through the cracks. He's always been a little bit of a free thinker, definitely outside of the box, can't be tamed in some ways. But he has a miraculous amount of gifts, he really truly does. And, so often enough, the school system wants to box our kids in, and they want them to be tamed, and they want them to think and act the way they say to. And if they don't, well, you're going to get, chastised, and you're going to be put in this little box, and you're going to be told X, Y, Z, and then you're going to be suggested to go to therapists and counselors and get on medication and all this stuff. And I've walked down that road with my son since he was 5 years old. And so we've been through so much. Reference to the school system, outside of the school system, between Baker acting, golly, you name it, IEPs, 504s, counseling, medication, all of it. And I carry such a soft spot for it, I'm not saying I'm against medication by any means. For those that truly need it, I'm here for it, but I don't believe everybody does need it. And I do believe that it is something that is very much like thrown down our kids, thrown at our kids in different ways. 222, as I say that, just to where they stay in line, and I can, it's even that way when it comes to adults, if you're a free thinker, you think outside of the box, they're going to chastise you and mock you because you're not staying in line, and they do that to our kids too. And so I felt compelled. It was crazy. I was telling the ladies on it, like on my algorithm, Kamala Harris was doing an interview. I don't know how old it was. And it was a really good interview. I shared it. And she was talking about how they're taking out the funding in different ways in the school system. And there are kids out here that are on a wait list for IEPs and 504s and special needs, even children battling with autism. And they're taking out different types of fundings in that. And it's crazy to me how in a world with an abundance of wealth, why we have to keep cutting corners. Same thing with the Medicaid and food stamps. Like I just went through my whole renewal process. I got my notice today. It said that I didn't turn in my income, which I did. I have proof that I did turn in my income. And the notice that they sent me, it doesn't even make sense. It's inconsistent. One portion says you're eligible. The next portion says you're not. Get it right. Get it right. How hard is it for people to just do their jobs and do it accurately, do it factually? It just seems to be very difficult these days, and it's one of those things. I don't even know if I'm going to fight it, to be honest. Because I know there's other people out there that really need food stamps more so than I do. And thankfully, I have a job now. I have 2 of them. And so it's just not really on my heart, but it breaks my heart because I know there's a lot of people out there that need food stamps and they make it so difficult for you to qualify, go through the process of it so they can just deny you based off lies. And that's kind of how they designed the entire plan. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, the concept that they have so graciously built this world on. So people that are crying out for help, people that need help, just can't get it. if you don't have the will and you don't have the advocating portion in yourself to fight for yourself, they know you're just not going to. And that's where you have to dig deep and find that in you. You know what I mean? If I didn't have a second job, I would fight it. Now, am I going to include it in my case of systematic abuse? Most definitely, because I have proof. But when it comes to fighting for the food stamps and stuff like that, I don't know that I'm going to, because I don't believe that it's the right thing to do. But I felt very compelled. I wanted to touch on this in reference to people's gifts. You know, everybody has gifts. So often enough, we don't realize what our creativity, our mindset, things we do with our hands, our gifts, our discernment, our intuition, and we all have them. We all have them, you know, and the only way that you don't tap into your gifts is if you're allowing your ego to guide you, truly. Because when you move without ego, you're able to tap in to your inside soul on a totally different level. You really, truly are. And I hope this video is making sense, but discernment, a spiritual perception, meaning sensing truth versus deception, light versus manipulation. And that's the thing, is like, so often enough, we already know the truth. It resides inside of us. That little gut feeling, that little thought that pops in your head when you're in a situation, you're in a circumstance, and you're like, no, this doesn't feel right. Yeah, that's the truth. That's your discernment. That's your gut telling you it isn't right. And so we've been trained to go against it, when really it's just follow it. Follow it. What is a harm going to do in following what you truly feel and what you truly believe? How is that going to hurt you? Truly. You're hurting yourself by not being true to yourself. Dang, that's power, Amanda. Jeez. Common expression, feeling the check in your spirit, seeing patterns before others notice them. Purpose, to guard, warn, and guide. Exactly. It's to guard you, to warn you, to guide you. When you get those inner feelings, you get those inner thoughts, whether it's in your personal relationships, your family relationships, whether that's in your business that you run or the business you work for, things like that. You all have a spiritual knowing. We all do. 1 Corinthians 12:10, to another discerning of the spirits. Everybody has discerning spirits. Wisdom and knowledge. This is my favorite. Wisdom and knowledge. I'm always here for wisdom and knowledge. I got some wisdom and knowledge. I do indeed. I love it too. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to chill the rest of the day. There's so much that's come to me in reference to my forward movement and stuff like that I'm just picking up on when it comes to everything that's unraveling on the front stage and how big it is. Big. It's a big. I have my inner child, man, that keeps me grounded. I have an inner child. We're locked in together. We have a good time. And I try to just have fun with knowing the pressure that follows me. And the ladies that were on the IEP this morning, they were so pleasant. They were so nice. They were so uplifting and motivating. That was really, really nice to hear. Wisdom and knowledge, receiving divine insight and practical strategy beyond natural logic. See, there's so many times that we all need like the natural logic. Like we have to have like, it's hard for our minds to see beyond the illusion, beyond the mask, beyond the veil, think that there's actually truth in a higher power that exists, you know, God, the divine, that's actually here on earth. Because he is already here on earth. They know that. That's why they're going against and doing all this crap. They know that. They know their time has come. It's coming. It just is. It's plain as day. Because there is a higher power. And the higher power resides around all of us, universal wise, but it also resides inside of us. The Christ conscience. Once you tap in, wisdom applies truth rightfully and righteously. Knowledge recognizes it. You know, that's the thing, is when you figure out something and you recognize it, and then you start applying what you figured out, right? For me, I figured out things that make me tick. I figured out things that make me happy. I figured out things that I was allowing, which was making me feel negative. And so because I recognized that, then I took it and I took my knowledge and I applied it. And I've been applying it every day in everything that I gain. Everything. Speaking clarity into confusion, connecting spiritual truths the real world action, in the real world action.